welcome to First Things First. I am Jenna Wolfe alongside Nick Wright, a very chipper Brandon Marshall. Kevin Wiles is here as well. As they continue to count votes, we continue to talk sports until they are done. And then we'll still talk sports because we have a huge show coming up today. Setting ourselves up for a big weekend of football to talk about. We got to start with the one thing that got Nick and Brandon arguing all week, and that is Baker Mayfield.
We're starting here?
So let's do that. Let's start right here. It was such a popular topic. We had to go. We're leaning in, Nick. Despite an impressive 5-3 record for the Browns, it has been a less impressive effort on the part of Baker Mayfield. Looks good beating the teams he should be beating. Struggles against the teams he shouldn't be beating. Well, that kind of did work, but it begs the question, is Baker Mayfield the future of this franchise? Here's Browns GM Andrew Berry on what he thinks of Baker's season thus far.
Where do you stand on Baker as it relates to the big questions about his future?
Yeah, I definitely understand the question, Aiden. Honestly, I really don't get too caught up in that type of narrative. You know, all I know is that I think Baker has played well and he's done a nice job during these first 8 weeks. He's allowed us to play winning football. We've had winning football from that position. Expect him to keep doing that over the second half of the year. And, you know, look, we're going to be in a good place, you know, as a team and organization if that's the case.
I love him, but the old non-answer answer, the way he started the answer, I definitely understand the question. Now I'll proceed to kind of not answer. Brandon, I'll start with you. What do you want to see from Baker Mayfield in the second half of the season to prove that this guy actually is a franchise quarterback, the future in Cleveland?
First off, Andrew Berry for president 2024. What a politician. Yeah. Answer the question.
There it is.
Answer the question,
Answer the
bro.
question.
Hey, listen. It was a simple question. Is he the franchise quarterback or not? And he gave you guys the answer. It's easy. If you ask this question in Green Bay, Nick, if we can go to Kansas City and we ask the question, what is Andy Reid going to say? Andy Reid's going to say, yes, that's our quarterback. That's why we gave him the contract we gave him 100%. They said it day 2 when he was on campus when Alex Smith was still the starting quarterback. So look, Baker Mayfield still have a chance. You know, there's everybody's career, everybody's journey is different. Can he still get it done? Absolutely. But this year, Jenna, what I need to see the rest of the way, I need to see him beat the good teams in his division, have some success in the division, beat the Baltimore Ravens, beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. Right now, you're 0-2. You have 2 games left against them. Protect the ball. Ball security is job security, yours and mine. I'll continue to preach
yours
that.
And mine.
We don't need another 7 interceptions. And then the last thing I need you to do, okay, is get the Browns to the playoffs. If you get the Browns to the playoffs, I don't even need to win. We can have this debate. We can have this discussion, Nick.
Listen, Baker Mayfield's going to be the quarterback of the Browns next year. Baker Mayfield will be the quarterback of the Browns the year after that. And then we'll see. He has not yet earned a contract extension. He has certainly done enough for them to pick up the 5th-year option. And listen, Brandon's point is right. He needs to do better on turning the ball over. He has 7 interceptions. It's way too many. It's a whole 1 more interception than Brandon's MVP, Russell Wilson. So, I mean, it's just a massive amount, a huge discrepancy. And I bring up Russell Wilson because
we're not talking about Russell Wilson.
I feel like with Baker, no, correct. But we also weren't talking about Patrick Mahomes. And if you are comparing Baker to Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes or Russell Wilson, even though I joke, of course he's going to come out looking bad. He is not one of the 5 best quarterbacks in football. He is not a future, no doubt, first ballot Hall of Famer as those guys are. So Wilds, how about we compare him to the people he should be compared to? Other first-round picks over the last, I don't know, half dozen years. Because this is why I get so frustrated. Here's every quarterback taken in the first round from 15 to 19. We're leaving this year's class out. Obviously, Mahomes is amazing, and Lamar, Deshaun, and Kyler are anywhere on the spectrum from very good to outstanding. Who else on that list can you confidently say is better than Baker Mayfield? Anybody?
Okay.
I'd say Baker's about
Nick,
the same as Goff. Yeah, go ahead, Wild. I mean, that's the list. That's your first-round picks.
No, you can leave this
over
up.
a 5-year period. Go ahead, Wild.
You can leave this up, but I think the question to you is Baker's not just a first-round pick. He's the #1 pick. And does that warrant more scrutiny than these other guys?
Well, I don't know. Look who's next to him. Where'd Jared Goff go in the draft? 1-1. Carson Wentz went all the way to the 2nd overall pick. Sam Darnold, who's beneath him, went 3rd. Josh Allen, who's beneath him, went 7th. And Daniel Jones went 6th. So it's not like it's guys who were the 29th pick, the 32nd pick like Lamar was. He is performing at, I would argue, a far higher level than Wentz is this year. Wentz is older and on an expensive contract. He's performing at the same level as Goff. Goff is older and on the most expensive contract in the league this year. And this is why, Brandon, I get frustrated. Go ahead.
You should get frustrated. It's a great tear. I love how you laid it out for all of us to see it. But Nick, at the end of the day, we're not competing against the guys on the bench. We're not competing against the guys who aren't winning games. Every NFL player, no matter who you are trying to win a championship. You are trying to be the best. So when you look at the Cleveland Browns, you think the Cleveland Browns are okay with saying we have an average starter? Like, what is the goal? Is the goal just to be an average team, or is the goal to dethrone your Super Bowl champs? Like, that is the goal. And if that is in case true, then we need to find a quarterback that can get us there. Because you're all right. He's not a bad quarterback. You laid it out perfectly. He's an average quarterback, but an average quarterback without an exceptionally great defense won't get you a championship. And that is the goal, Jenna.
Go ahead, Jenna.
Nick,
I know Jenna wants to fire off here. Go ahead.
No, I don't. No, you brought up Goff, and it's a really interesting point. I wonder how much of the scrutiny Baker gets is because there's so much folded into it. There's the commercials and the ad campaigns and the bravado.
The commercials
all of it.
and the ad campaigns.
It comes with it.
No. There's a lot of it. There's a lot of talking. There's a lot of hype.
Right.
There's a lot of look at me outside of the stadium. I mean, like, the guy does commercials where the stadium's his home. Like,
well, here's the deal.
For God's sake, like,
No. I have to answer the question.
Goff didn't have any of that, and so Goff escaped
because he's boring.
I think, as a
Listen, okay, I am not going to buy into this idea that because 18 months ago, Baker Mayfield spent 48 hours with an insurance company that he should be evaluated differently. That's what it is. That's all it is.
There's a lot.
Oh my God!
Well,
Saquon Barkley does Hulu.
Nick.
A lot of guys do Hulu. What?
That's right.
Wait. The commercial thing is such a ludicrous attack. He was the Heisman Trophy winner.
It's not the time he spends on it. It's the look at me. It's the drawing attention to yourself, and then you're like, oh, don't scrutinize me.
Jenna, 100. It comes with the territory. Should guys go out and get endorsement deals and make the money, optimize their earnings off the field? 100%. That's what you work so hard for. But at the same time, you know what comes with that. That comes with that. Like, if you're just a guy that keep your mouth shut and you don't make headlines, then you won't be highly scrutinized. But if you're the guy that gets up in front of media and you have an edge, you have a little attitude, you have swagger, you're all over the television, it comes with the territory. 100%, Nick.
Agreed.
You cannot say that.
Of course.
Okay, so that's why.
Of course it
so
does.
that's why Baker Mayfield gets scrutinized the way he does.
Yeah, I got it. I understand it. And Baker doesn't complain about that. If Baker did these commercials, which listen, no one's ever asked me to do a commercial. Jenna, let me finish. If Baker did these commercials and then whined about the scrutiny as he did last year, I would criticize him, as I did last year. But he hasn't done that. He has been on his best behavior. Okay, go ahead, please. Tell me.
Look, Cam Newton has a bad game. He says, that's on me. I'm going to do better next week. I know what your guys are saying. I get it. That's on me. Baker Mayfield has a bad game, and his exact words, I don't listen. I don't give a damn what you say. Oh, who in the national media?
Right.
He gets angry. He gets defensive, and what he does is he attracts all of that attention, Nick.
No, Jenna,
said,
it's actually worse. After a bad game, he actually says, he's like, you know what? I played a bad game, but I've got to do this Allstate commercial. I've got to do this Geico commercial. I can't focus on football. So I do think it's a fair.
It's true.
I can't focus on.
All right, well, listen.
It's Nick's guy. Leave Nick's guy alone.
Guys,
Nick's guy alone.
There is. Hold on. It's not even that he's my guy. Again, now that Odell's not playing, and I don't know if he'll ever play for the Browns again, I have no connection to the Browns. I don't really care what happens with the Browns. I care about fairness. And the fact of the matter is this. Last year, we were told that Baker needed to pay less attention to everything else. And now, Baker, for saying, I don't pay attention to that stuff, is being criticized. We said 2 weeks ago, maybe he should be benched prior to the Bengals game. And then when he played brilliantly in the Bengals game, the response was, well, of course he did. Everyone knew he was going to. It's the Bengals. It is a constant moving target. And the idea that he should be evaluated differently than #1 pick Jared Goff, #1 pick Jameis Winston, #2 pick Carson Wentz, #2 pick Marcus Mariota, because Progressive gave him $600 grand to film some commercials is so god-dog crazy, I'm going to lose my mind. And so I'm sorry for yelling, America. I know we're in a moment of healing and everyone's stressed out, but this is insanity. It's total insanity, and people need to understand what's happening here.
All right, I'm going to say this. Baker Mayfield can sit down this weekend and watch two other guys who do all the commercials and who are able to handle the spotlight. Brady, Breeze, coming up this weekend. We're going to set up Bucs and Saints. And Baker carries himself like he's the third.
Oh, he's not Tom Brady.
All right, big NFC South showdown on Sunday. You got your Bucs, you got your Saints. Remember, the Saints took the season opener. Sure, that set well with Brady. Our friends over at Fox Bet have the 6-2 Bucs favored by 5 over the 5-2 Saints. So let's start there. Nick, you surprised the Bucs are such heavy favorites here?
No. I'm not surprised that right now they're a very public team. Everyone loves Tampa Bay and the Gronkaneers. Listen, they're the favorites in the NFC to go to the Super Bowl, which is hilarious. Brandon's got them on the same tier as the Chiefs, which is just delightful. And people love betting on them. Now, I'm happy about it because you were allowed to get the Saints, who are a better team, and 6 points. So that, to me, that was great. And if you, by the way, I said 6, and I'm looking at the Pulse of Vegas. I'm checking it right now. Okay, that's what I thought, because it opened at 6, and now it's down to 5. So some of the sharper money, some of the smarter money is going on the Saints, some of the public money on the Bucs, because, Brandon, everyone thinks the Bucs are this super fun team that we're going to pretend the Giants game didn't happen and the Bears game didn't happen, and we're just going to look at their wins, and Brady's feeling great, and they're adding AB. But I need to see them beat the Saints before I can say they're better than the Saints, Brandon. And thus far this season, they're 0-for-1 in that regard.
Nick, I've sat in this chair for, 3-4 months now. And I've heard you give betting advice across all sports, baseball, basketball, in the bubble, playoffs. Who's going to be the MVP? Who's going to hit six runs, whatever. Like, I heard you over and over again. So tell me right now, who are you betting on this week between the Bucs and the Saints?
So I already bet on the Saints plus the points, and I'm going to put it back to you for a moment. I will bet on the Saints to win the game outright if we get some type of idea of what is going on with Michael Thomas. Does he play for them anymore?
Yeah.
Is he going to play this week? Like, this is such a.
Right.
I've texted you about this every Sunday for 3 weeks. Like, what is happening with Michael Thomas? I do think, and even though I'm not as high on the Bucs as you are, I do think, obviously, they're in a far, far stronger position if the Saints don't have Michael Thomas and they can just really focus their efforts on stopping Alvin Kamara. As you've talked about, those two guys are like 75% of the Saints offense typically.
Yeah, something funky's going on in New Orleans with Michael Thomas. Wilds, look, here's the deal. Before the season, I said it. This team is not going to be really good. They'll be decent in the regular season. Talking about the Saints, they'll be decent in the regular season, and then they'll implode in the postseason like they have done for the last several years. And everybody crushed me for that. Right now, they are overachieving. This is the best coaching job Coach Payton has ever done. Why did I say that? Because when you take away 41, you take away 13. Drew Brees and Sean Payton, they don't know what to do. They don't know how to win without those guys. Michael Thomas, whatever's going on there, high ankle, hamstring, fighting with teammates, he hasn't been available. For that reason, excuse me, that's why I say that this team is overachieving. That's why this team is overachieving. No, I just had something stuck in my throat, some oatmeal, you know, my overnight oats. But this team is overachieving. Okay. So I'm not surprised because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are playing lights out, but I got to give respect to Coach Payton for finding a way. Okay, wow. So when you look at this game this weekend, I think the Tampa Bay Bucs will win. Drew Brees is finding out a way. But they still don't have enough. And excuse my overnight oats.
Hey, remember when we were talking about the first? You're sorry about your overnight oats. You know what? I'm a day of oats guy. Just here's today. I have my oats, the overnight oats. No go. Nick, do you remember when after the first game of the season, we're like, that Drew Brees starting to look pretty old. Ball's not really flying out of his hand like it used to. And then we kind of dropped the storyline because Michael Thomas might get traded and Sean Payton got him hurt. So here's a stat from Dusty. Passes traveling 20 yards in the air, over 20 yards. Brady, 45. Breeze, 8. Combine that with the Bucs being the second highest blitzing team in the league. They're blitzing 43% of the time. I think we could be in for a rough night from Drew Brees. And we just let this storyline go that Drew Brees is the old Drew Brees. We just kind of just lost the storyline. I don't think Drew Brees is going to look pretty bad here, Nick.
I think that all ties back to the Michael Thomas storyline in this regard. I think everyone acknowledges Drew Brees and the Saints offense hasn't looked great. It's looked fine, but hasn't looked great. But I think for most of us, we're incorporating into it, Jenna, well, they haven't had Michael Thomas since week 1. The guy who set the NFL all-time record for catches in a season, his most reliable. By the way, Wilds, I'm not saying that's the correct analysis. I'm saying I think that's what's happened. I think that because Michael Thomas hasn't been there, Drew Brees, it's like, okay, well, what's he going to do? It's a little dump-offs to Alvin Kamara. He's trying to get on the same page with Emmanuel Sanders. We have found reasons for it, as opposed to maybe the reason is, even with Michael Thomas, there's a possibility, Jenna, that Drew Brees just is not going to push the ball down the field.
All right, we're going to dive deeper into this coming up a little later. Right now, I want to play a little over-under with you guys. So, remember, Hollywood Brown voiced his frustration over a lack of targets in the Ravens' loss to the Steelers last week. In other words, he wanted the damn ball. Well, Lamar got the message loud and clear, saying yesterday, we've got to do a better job of getting it to Hollywood. So, Brandon, over or under 10 targets for Hollywood Brown Sunday against the Colts?
Under. This team isn't built to throw it around the yard this way. And if they do, and if it is over, he's forcing it. And then he's putting his team in a dangerous situation. We're going to see more picks, and we don't want that. So I'm going with the under. I do think they need to find ways to not only get him the ball more, but all of those wide receivers and tight ends.
See, I'm going to go over here. I think that resonated. And the fact that Lamar mentioned it, Brandon, I think this is a good story. Here are his targets for the year. 6, 8, 10, 6, and 2 last year. In the last game. 2. Here's the problem. He played 94% of the snaps. He played 77 snaps and got the ball twice. He's like, guys, hey, old Hollywood Brown, I'm a soldier. Throw me the ball. So I think Lamar is going to try to force it to him. Whether or not that's good for the Ravens, I don't know. But I think he's going to try to feed Hollywood Brown now.
It's a good defense.
Way
it's
under.
a good defense. Don't force it.
He's only gone. Brandon, I think part of his frustration is this. You were there for Hollywood Brown's first game of his career when he lit up the Dolphins for like 150 yards, couple touchdowns. It's like, oh my God, this is great. The second game of his career, he was targeted 13 times. You know how many games since then he's been targeted more than 10 times? 0. So first game, he's killing folks. Second game, he's targeted all the time. And now he's a blocker. So I understand why he's frustrated, and I would hammer the under. If this was a real thing I could wager on, I would hammer the under.
Oh, he's a...
But you can't wager on
And Jenna, guess what's going to happen in the media? He's a diva. He's a wide receiver asking for a ball. Now he's a diva. Yeah. We always want the ball. There's always going to be a ball in our hands.
Just wait until he does a commercial. Just wait until he does a commercial. Oh,
you're going to ride that to its grave, Nick. Take a turn, guys. We're at the midway point of the NFL season, which is the perfect time for us to hand out mid-season awards. It's also the only time we can do it. They're good. They're next. This is First Things First. All right, time now for our First Things First Mid-Season Awards. Steelers are 7-0, guys, for the first time since the steel curtain days of the 70s. Wiles, you can steal that line if you want for your next dinner party. But Brandon,
I like that.
The award for best team, no one's having dinner parties, goes to blank.
That's right.
The best team? I got to go with, Nick, the Chiefs. What a surprise. Nick didn't see that coming. It's the Chiefs. They're the most complete team in the NFL right now. They're actually better this year than they were last year because they're finding different ways to get it done. They're winning with Mahomes throwing the ball. They have a running game now. Their offensive line is finding ways to regroup after major injuries. Defensively, they make plays, and even in special teams. This team is dangerous now, and we don't talk about them enough. But Nick, I know that was a surprise to you.
I'm shocked. I'm stupefied. I'm dumbfounded. I can't believe you're moving off your Super Bowl pick of the Steelers, who are undefeated. But you're right. You know who has the number 3 scoring defense in football? Those Kansas City Chiefs. You know who's won each of their last 2 games by 4 touchdowns, but we haven't said a word about them? Those Kansas City Chiefs. And Wild, you know who still has far and away the best player in the NFL? Those Kansas City Chiefs. They're the best team. We know that. Come on. Everybody's playing for second place. Okay. We talk about the other team's creative.
I'm going to go off.
They're the best.
I'm going to go off the board here and say the Bucs offensive line. I know we talked about it yesterday, but this is like a little miniature team. Actually, the MVP of the league and the best team. 98% of the snaps these guys have played. They've only missed 5 snaps the whole year. It's the reason for Tom Brady's success. It's the foundation of the whole team. This is the best team in football.
I like the little mini offshoot there. Moving on, the Eagles have stumbled to a 3-4-1 start thanks in large part to lackluster play from their quarterback. Carson Wentz leads the league with 12 interceptions. Brandon, the award for the most disappointing team goes to blank.
The Patriots. You got to start there. Look, there's something special that happens in the NFL locker room. It's called accountability. You got to call guys out to keep this thing on track. And Bill Belichick, the GOAT, the greatest of all time, hasn't gotten it done, whether as the head coach or the general manager. He didn't build this team up to compete this year. There's no depth on this team. Yeah, COVID is hitting every team, and you're seeing teams like the 49ers still find a way to win games here and there. And Bill Belichick just hasn't done a great job this year. They're the most disappointing team in the National Football League.
Yeah, I got to go with another team who's well below 500, whose quarterback is turning the ball over a ton, who you think they might make a quarterback change, and I'm going to go with Cleveland. Oh, wait, none of those things are true about the Browns? That's just the narrative? Okay, then I'll go with Dallas. The answer is the Cowboys. I'm a little annoyed with the Cowboys also because 2020, while it's been a horrible year in almost all regards, it has been an extraordinary year for my predictions. And the one glaring sore thumb error is I didn't just get my NFC Super Bowl pick wrong. I might have gotten it as wrong as you possibly can get a Super Bowl pick. They might get the 3rd pick of the draft, and I picked them to go to the Super Bowl. And at the end of this year, Wilds, I think some folks are going to be like, well, Dak got hurt. This team was a mess and was in free fall before Dak got hurt. So to me, it's the Cowboys.
Okay, here comes the take that if you have a hazmat suit at home, you might want to put on because there's going to be fire coming out of your television. Back up, put your children in another room because here we go. I'm not sure the Falcons are that bad. I'm really disappointed in them, but if you look at the way they lost, I'm like, not only are they not bad, the Falcons are actually pretty good. They lost to the Cowboys on that weird onside kick. They actually lost the game by scoring a touchdown, and they lost that weird Nick Foles game to the Bears. And then they did win 2 games, so I'm like, the Falcons are a good team. Now you can take your hazmat suit off. That's it. Enjoy the rest of your day.
I think that's a good take.
It's a good take.
On to a little MVP talk for those of us who don't currently own a hazmat suit just laying around. Couple of veteran quarterbacks always seem to be part of the MVP conversation, Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. They've both led their teams to the top of their respective divisions at the midway mark. But Brandon, the most valuable player award goes to blank.
I like that.
Let me see. We got Aaron Donald playing really good. You even have Derrick Henry, who's playing really good. Tom Brady is playing really good. He's actually playing the way he did in 2007 and 2010 when he won league MVP.
Giving all the answers.
But I'm not going to move off of my preseason prediction. It's Russell Wilson. This guy is so good that he makes being good look boring. Like, it's just Mr. Consistent. This isn't a trend. This isn't a fad. He's not playing lights out.
Unlimited.
This is Russell Wilson's game, folks. Russell Wilson will win league MVP.
Okay.
All right, so Russell Wilson is certainly the trendy pick right now. But the answer, and folks are going to say, yeah, of course you're going to say this, Nick. Of course I'm going to say this because it's the right answer. It's Patrick Mahomes. He's on pace for 42 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. He has 21 touchdowns and 1 pick all year. That is so. If in the next game he throws 5 interceptions, he'll tie Russell Wilson in that category. He's barely behind him in quarterback rating. He's ahead of him in total QBR, if you care about that. And I happen to think that if Seattle drops another game and all of a sudden they're not surefire going to win that division, can't win the MVP if you don't win your own division as a quarterback. That's what history tells us. Not only should Mahomes get it, Mahomes might actually get it. And so I'm going to say Patrick Mahomes.
You know what? I'm just tired of the quarterbacks getting all the MVPs. I want to go back to, Barry Sanders getting the MVP. That's why I got Derrick Henry. Here's a fun fact for you. Last week was the first week that Derrick Henry ran for over 100 yards and the Titans lost. So they are 16-1 when Derrick Henry runs over 100 yards. So that's the definition of MVP. If I play well, the team wins. If I don't, we lose. That's why I'm the MVP.
That's
good. I like that.
Speaking of Derrick Henry, possibly the play of the year here when he broke the internet. Maybe Josh Norman, too, with this thunderous stiff arm in week 5.
That's what you did to Nick
Brandon, the award
earlier.
highlight goes to blank. Thank you.
Jenna, that's what you did to Nick earlier when you guys were talking about Baker
I'll
Mayfield.
take that.
And I'm on to you, Nick. Every time we talk about a quarterback, you just go to the other end of the spectrum just to create some havoc. All right, so listen. This right here goes to DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf, there's not a ton of great plays out there right now, so I'm excited about the second half of the season. But this dude clocked 23 miles per hour on what would have been a pick 6. You just don't see this. Look at the knee drive. Usain Bolt can't beat this guy in a 40 or even 100 or the 200. Buda Baker was mic'd up, and Buda Baker said, how the heck did this guy catch my blank? I love it.
Yep. So, Brandon, I'm also going to go with DK Metcalf, but a different DK Metcalf play. Because this next play got about 1% of the run as the play you just showed. And I hope we can run it. Because this should never be a touchdown. This is a 6-yard game. 4 Niners have the angle on him, and he just casually beats them all to the sideline. This was absolutely mystifying to me. He beats everyone who has an angle and then keeps his balance on the sideline. Wilds, I think that's the most impressive touchdown of the year, and I don't think it even made the night highlights that Sunday. This guy is a marvel, an absolute marvel, and I got to give Brandon credit. Brandon was the first person in the whole country I heard say DK Metcalf is the best receiver in the NFL. Now, unfortunately for Brandon, that hurts Russell Wilson's MVP case because now you're like, well, he does have the best receiver in the league. But DK Metcalf, unbelievable play, Wilds.
Stop this smear campaign, Nick. Stop this smear campaign.
Some people are going to say that the Daniel Jones long run was actually a low light, but for me, it's the highlight, and I think that's going to save Daniel Jones' job at some point. Daniel Jones is straight up mobile. He's not sneaky mobile. He's straight up mobile, but we didn't really have a defining play. So I think when it comes down to like, I don't know, should we move on from Daniel Jones? Everybody will remember this play more because he fell. Like, no, remember that big run he had and he fell? If he just doesn't fall, it's one of the most amazing runs of the year. We got to keep this guy. So I think this low light ends up saving Daniel's job or just gives him more time until they, draft Arch Manning.
Can I say something here?
Go.
Hold on. Can I say something here? Wilds, you know how much I adore you and how much I think you've helped this show. That might be the worst take ever given on sports television. That might win the gold. That when they are evaluating whether or not to keep Daniel Jones, they're going to say, remember the time he fell down? That's why we keep him? Because even when he's running free, he can't
It's the silver lining, Nick. It's the silver lining. I love it, Wiles. It's the silver lining.
Guys, you know the one guy nobody mentioned for MVP or for highlight or for anything? Baker Mayfield.
Christ.
Has this guy played well enough to prove he's the future at quarterback for the Browns? That's next. First things first. Nobody mentioned his name.
Don't do this to us,
Not
Jenna.
win Mid-Season Awards.
From WWE Thunderdome with an unhinged Jey Uso now by his side, Roman Reigns looks to continue his dominance. It's an all-new Friday Night SmackDown, live at 8 Eastern, 7 Central, tomorrow night on Fox.
Yeah, wrestling. All right, we're back here talking Kansas City Chiefs. Another day, another accolade for Patrick Mahomes. Named AFC Offensive Player of the Week for his performance in KC's win over the Jets. Just another week for Patty. 416 pass yards, 5 touchdowns. Chiefs now 7-1 on the season. Coach Mangini back with us. Coach, it's crazy to ask this, but have the Chiefs sort of flown under the radar this season?
Yeah, so are we just renaming this the Nick Wright segment? Like, oh my God, my Chiefs aren't getting enough attention. Oh my God, my Chiefs are so good. Why aren't they getting enough attention?
He did want
Why
the
isn't
segment.
everybody telling
That's
us?
exactly what I said this morning.
Why isn't everybody telling us how great we are? I mean, flying under the radar. When you win the Super Bowl, the radar changes. The things that are on the radar change. There's an expectation of winning. There's an expectation of excellence. Now, when you get beat by the Raiders and you go into deep overtime with the Chargers with a rookie quarterback with 10 minutes to start, that's when you get into the attention getting. And look, I understand that we want to praise Kansas City every minute of every day, especially if your name is Nick, but when things change, when you have a level of success, the radar changes and there's an expectation of being good.
That's right.
Okay,
Nick.
Can I pile on,
Coach,
Nick, and then I'll pass you the ball. Well, but Brandon, let me. I want to try to come off the top rope like that wrestling promo. There is a great untruth happening across the NFL, Nick, and as a man of integrity, you have to address it. Here are some of the headlines from Patrick Mahomes' recent performance. Mahomes tosses for 416 and 5 TDs. Okay. USA Today, Mahomes scorches the Jets for 5 TDs. Okay, fine. NFL.com, this is a great one. Mahomes ate up the Jets like Galactus with 5 TDs. I don't even know what Galactus is, some Marvel character. Can we show one, my personal favorite, of Mahomes' 30-yard touchdown passes. There it was, folks. If you missed it, that is a 30-yard touchdown pass. There it was. You missed it. Not a lot of air yards there. Don't get me wrong. This goes down as a 30-yard touchdown pass, and everyone is running with it. Everyone is saying, Patrick Mahomes threw for 5 touchdowns. No, he didn't. And everyone on planet Earth knows it, and no one acknowledges it. No one acknowledges this is not a touchdown pass, Nick. It would mean a lot to the world, to everyone who values truth and honesty, if you, the biggest Mahomes fan and Chiefs fan on this earth, acknowledges that this is nonsense.
Okay, well, listen, I'd love to do that, but you're going to have to talk to Greg Aiello and the folks in the NFL league office that make the rules. I don't set the rules, I just abide by them. But let me address everything that's been said here for a moment. This idea that we're going to all of a sudden downgrade certain passes, I think it is, I do think it's a fair point, because there is such a question about whether or not Mahomes actually can make good throws down the field straightforward. Like that ball is still in the air, and we'll see how it comes down. No, Wilds. No. I think you raised some good points. And when Brandon Marshall brings up guys like Tom Brady having the best 5-game stretch he's had, since his MVP season, mixed in that game was a game, I believe, where Mike Evans had 3 catches for 3 touchdowns for 3 yards. Now, I'm not a math major, but I think I could have been. So I would think all 3 of those touchdowns were 1-yard touchdown passes. But I want to, and Brandon, I apologize, but I just want to kick it back. I just want to kick it back to Coach for a moment, and then I'll shut up for the segment. Coach, one of the smartest football people I know, someone I love and adore, even though I think they still owe me 2 or 3 free meals that haven't been paid out yet, told me once, you don't, even when you win the Super Bowl, in fact, especially when you win the Super Bowl, it is important to remember you do not pick up where you left off. That each season is totally self-contained, that each season is different with different circumstances and different struggles. And that smart man told me the first Super Bowl he won, his team struggled with that. That dealing with success and having the target on your back, and every week you get a team's best effort, that could be concerning. So one would think that person who happens to be you would be impressed by 7-1, the number 3 scoring defense, and a quarterback who has 21 touchdowns and 1 pick. But there is nothing my beloved Kansas City Chiefs can do to even put a slight smirk on your face as opposed to the frown. That bothers me, Coach, I must say.
Well, first of all, let's set a few things straight. I don't think I owe you any more dinners, and I think the amount of money you cost me in that one dinner that I took you to would equal to several dinners. It was expensive. So let's just clear that up. I'd say that the second thing is we're not talking about whether or not they're good. Okay, we're talking about whether or not they're being praised enough for being good. We're talking about whether or not that we've given them enough accolades for being good. And maybe Galactus isn't the Marvel character that you were hoping that Kansas City would be compared to, but that's who you got. Maybe it's Captain America next time. I'm sorry if that doesn't work to make you feel good enough about where your team's 7-1 record is. But yeah, there is an expectation of being successful. You don't get to start where you left off. You do have to overcome your own success the next year. And I think all those things have been really positive for Kansas City. Do I think they're not getting enough love? No, I don't agree with that narrative. They're getting plenty of love.
I don't know, Coach. I kind of agree with Nick a little bit. They have flown under the radar in a weird way. And the reason why, Coach, is because they are really good. To me, they are better this year than they were last year. Last year, they were winning with the flair. Patrick Mahomes, the crazy passes and putting up 40 points a game, throwing for 400 yards. Now, they're getting it done in all three phases. And that's why I think that we're not talking about them as much, because they're just winning just games just as a complete team. You got to run a game. Last year, they had one game, and it was the Super Bowl, where they had more than 30 rushes on the ground. This year, they've had 3 already. Their defense, Coach Spags, the defensive coordinator, doing a phenomenal job. They're keeping teams under 20 points a game. That is a phenomenal job. They're not just relying on Patrick Mahomes to get it done. They're running the ball. They're getting it done in the passing game. And also defensively, they're doing a great job. And I think that's the reason why we're not talking about them, because last year they was just a human highlight. That's what they were.
Well, listen, while part of this is tongue-in-cheek, I get it. I understand. Right now, the Chiefs are the Warriors after they added Kevin Durant. They're only interesting when they lose. They are the overwhelming favorite. It feels unfair. It feels like the deck is stacked. They might have the best coach. They definitely have the best player. They just added Le'Veon Bell. Tyreek Hill just had another multi-touchdown game. So I get it. I understand. They beat a team by 27 points in back-to-back weeks. Who cares? I understand. I get how the media works. But, Wilds, I want to just go back to you for a moment with your shade to Patrick Mahomes. Because while I don't know if the Chiefs are flying under the radar, I don't care what method the touchdown passes come, Wilds. I do think Mahomes is flying under the radar. He has 21 touchdowns and 1 pick. There is no other way. And nobody, the MVP's already been given to Russell Wilson, Brandon. And so I do think Mahomes is flying under the radar to a degree this year.
I got your back on this one. No, Wilds is so right. I go back to my rookie year. Jay Cutler and I drafted the same year. He was first round, I was fourth round. They gave us the keys. We're playing against Seattle Sunday Night Football. We're down by a score. Jay Cutler throws a 5-yard pass, a hitch route to me. I run for 77 yards. I break 6 tackles. And you know what the headline was, Nick? Jay Cutler saves the day. Jay Cutler just threw a 5-yard pass. I ran for 77 yards. It's not fair. It's not fair.
That's fair. That's fair. I get that.
It's a fun conversation. We got to take a turn. We are now at the midway point of the NFL season, which is the perfect time for us to hand out mid-season awards. Coach is with us. He's going to weigh in on the guys' picks next. First things first. Now time for stories to start your morning. Sponsored by Ram Trucks, built to serve. And let's stay right there with that Thursday night football game. Packers hoping to rebound from their disappointing loss to the Vikings. Niners will be without their starting quarterback, starting tight end, their top 3 receivers, their left tackle Trent Williams, and both teams dealing with players sidelined by COVID-19. My mom obviously suiting up for the Niners tonight. So Brandon, can the Packers prove anything this evening by defeating the depleted 49ers?
Absolutely not. The only thing we can learn from the Packers tonight is if they lose this game. You got to look at what's going on in the 49ers locker room. They're knocked down. They're not knocked out, but they're knocked down by injuries and also COVID. Like if any team has been struck hard by injuries and COVID-19, it's this team. And then you also got to look at how they're finding ways to win. Great job by Kyle Shanahan every week trying to get the next man up. So, yeah, this will be a good game. It should be a competitive game. But at the end of the day, the Packers got to win this game. They should win this game. Aaron Rodgers is that good. I don't care what's going on in that interior defensive line, Nick.
This is a no-win situation for the Packers for exactly the reasons you laid out. Because a win doesn't mean much and a loss would be absolutely crushing. And Wilds, I actually think it's unfortunate for the Packers that the Niners are in such disarray, because this could have been, and otherwise would have been, a really good litmus test for, did the Packers fix their deficiencies from last year? Last year, the Packers were 14-2 against the entire NFL, except for San Francisco, and 0-2 with 2 beatdowns against San Francisco. And so this year, they obviously hoped to be better, thought they were better. I have my own skepticism about that. At the trade deadline, they do nothing. They call the Texans, but instead of calling them for home son, Wisconsinite J.J. Watt, they call him for Will Fuller. They don't get him anyway. And so they're like, no, we're good enough. It would have been a really good test to see, okay, how much better are you than last year? But because the Niners are in such disarray, Wilds, I don't think you can learn much. So I agree with Brandon 1,000%. I think the only narrative coming out of this game would be a negative one for Green Bay if they struggle or somehow lose tonight.
Well, the only other storyline I see, Nick, is this like Jimmy G factor. Like we know that Dak went down and Andy Dalton played poorly, and then Andy Dalton went down, and Dak's sitting back there like, whoa, look, the Dak Prescott stock going up. Just checking my stock apps. Boom, Dak Prescott heading through the roof. So I wonder if Jimmy G's stock will go up after we see a few weeks of Nick Mullins' depleted Niners or not.
No, this kid can play, Wilds. I like Mullins.
Okay, we'll see.
No, I like this kid.
Brandon.
All right, speaking of quarterbacks who we're not sure whether they can play or not, let's talk some Cleveland Browns. Yes,
Jenna.
they sit at an impressive 5-3. Also, yes, listen, I got to keep with my theme. Also, yes, there are still questions about the future of Baker. He has peaked and valleyed his way through the season, some fantastic games and some a little bit less than that, I'm being honest. Which begs the question, is Baker the future of the franchise? Browns GM Andrew Berry on what he thinks of Baker's first half of football.
Where do you stand on Baker as it relates to the big questions about his future?
Yeah, I definitely understand the question, Ethan. Honestly, I really don't get too caught up in that type of narrative. You know, all I know is that I think Baker has played well, and he's done a nice job during these first 8 weeks. He's allowed us to play winning football. We've had winning football from that position. Expect him to keep doing that over the second half of the year. And, you know, look, we're going to be in a good place, you know, as a team and organization if that's the case.
So, Brandon, what do you want to see from Baker Mayfield the second half of the season now for him to prove his case that he is the future franchise quarterback of the Browns?
3 things, and Wilds, I'm gonna throw it to you on my second point, okay? Number 1, I want to see him beat the division. I want to see him have success in division. Beat the Baltimore Ravens. Beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. You're 0-2 right now. You still have 2 games left. Have some success there. Wilds, what do I always say about ball security? Do you listen to me at all? What do I say about it?
Yeah. Okay, ball security is job security. Yours and mine.
Yours and mine.
Thank you. Protect the ball, Baker. We don't want to see another 7 picks in the second half of the season. And then the third thing, Wilds, the last thing is this. Let's get to the playoffs. I don't need you to win a playoff game. Just get us there, and then we can have this discussion. But I'm not going to continue to have this debate with Nick. Nick is putting this guy on a pedestal, and he's trying to say that this guy is good enough. What is the goal? Is the goal to win a Super Bowl, or is the goal just to be competitive? Please tell me.
Okay. Nick, I'm going to throw it to you in a second. Baker's trending in the right direction. It's hard to find a stat, although yards per game are a little bit down, that show that he's going in the wrong direction. He's getting better. So if you want to clone him into Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, science is not there. You got this guy, and he's pretty good. He's 5-3. He's not turning the ball over, and his passer rating is way up. And I know everyone's saying, you need this world beater QB to make it to the Super Bowl. Well, my old friend Tom Brady, here's what he did over 14 games, Nick. That's a long time ago, granted. 18 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, and he averaged 189 yards. He didn't throw for 200 yards in his first Super Bowl either. You can make it to the Super Bowl and be a successful franchise as long as your quarterback is getting better and better and better. And Baker's been put in a situation that's so unstable that we haven't really gotten a chance. And now that he's got some stability, he's proven that he's winning games, winning football games. So I'm pro Baker, although Jenna's right, he probably does too many commercials.
Yeah, listen, I think you both actually raise good points. And Brandon, I'm going to agree with you a lot here. Listen, you can't turn the ball over at the level Baker does and be a franchise quarterback. Now, you can have one fewer turnover and be the leading MVP candidate like Russell Wilson is, but that one turnover is a huge thing.
Love it.
And you can't be
that
in
happens
the
once every
volume
5
of
years with
commercials. Okay, but that's this year. And this is the year you're getting the MVP. And you can't be in the level of commercials Baker is in and win a Super Bowl. Now, you can be in triple the amount of commercials and win a Super Bowl like Patrick Mahomes, but it's different. And the thing is this, folks. We hold Baker to a different standard than his play or even his draft position demands because he is flamboyant, because he does not do coach speak, quarterback speak, boring blah, blah, blah press conferences, because he has a little bit of an edge to him, and it rubs some people the wrong way. We act like the Browns are perennial Super Bowl contenders, as opposed to the worst team in NFL history the decade before he got there. And when can we just show, do we have time to show the young quarterbacks in this league? Yeah, there's 4 that are clearly better than him. And then there's a dozen that he's either better than or as good as. Goff went 1, Wentz went 2, Jameis went 1, Mariota went 2. They don't even have jobs anymore.
Jenna.
Because he was top 10 pick.
Jenna.
Why is top 10 pick?
Go ahead.
Bills are 6-2.
Yeah.
Jenna, the great Fred Taylor, we had this discussion about all these young players on the podcast a couple weeks ago, and this is what he said. This generation, they put the fame before the game, Nick, and that should put things in perspective for you when we're talking about Baker Mayfield. We're okay with all those commercials. Hell, I don't even know is it Geico, State Farm? I don't even know what commercials he's actually in. But he needs to go win some ball games.
Well, they're 5-3.
Feels like he's done them all. All right,
Most
the
wins they've had
conversation
in the
about
first half of
Baker's
the season.
clearly